you're about to do a song that you wrote, and from the paperwork, it said you wrote it in 1987 A.D.
Somewhere thereabouts. It would, what would happen is I got all my stuff together in the mid '90s, and I wasn't sure when I'd written it, so I just wrote '87 on all of them. So it could have been written anytime from 1983, '82 to probably 2000. But well, some of them have been written since then, but. So most of them got '87 put on it because I know.
Well, I noticed. I was like, man, he wrote a lot of songs in '87.
It seemed like that, but
so what turned you on to starting to write songs? I guess it's just a natural.
I guess I just think about I've always done Civil War reenacting, and I've always had a fondness for the stories, especially the stories of home during the Civil War, and it didn't matter if they were southern homes or northern homes. Gone is gone, and war is war. It don't matter. Yeah, and mamas are mamas. Exactly. And I just let my imagination run on stuff like well, what if this happened and this happened? And so I ended up writing a tune about it.
So it's pretty natural. When did you write your first one? You think? Well, not like because writing the part of a song is one thing. Completing a song is kind of a different thing for most people.
I'll say something about that in a minute, but I started writing poems when I was like in first grade. I've got one I wrote about mother for Mother's Day, and I composed the whole darn thing in like 3 minutes. I got the idea, it fit, and it rhymed perfectly. And the funny thing is, with songs, I can make them rhyme, but I can't make them singable. And you have knowledge of that because I can write it out, but boy, to try to sing it like that, you get your tongue gets tied up, and you go blah, 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 But I had one song that my mother died. Our mother died in 1994. She wasn't but 54 years old. Right. They were on vacation out in California, and she just grabbed her chest and fell over dead.
Wow.
And that was pretty much a shock. We finally got her back to Texas, got her buried. Well, my sister had a hard time with it because they'd had an argument that morning, and that was pretty hard on her. And I'd gone by the cemetery where she's buried about a year later, and her grave, it was completely covered in potted plants, flowers, and everything. I mean, several $100s worth of plants, and I'm like, well, how many flowers have we placed on that grave, and I'm like, and I knew my sister had done most of them, But I went home and I wrote down on a piece of paper, how many flowers have we placed on Mother's grave? How many beautiful memories has she made? How long has it been? Oh, let us count the days. How many flowers have we placed on Mother's grave? And this was in just a notebook, and I just wrote it in like second page in there and just put it back on the shelf, and there it stayed for 3 or 4 years. I didn't even think about it. Well, I'd gotten that notebook down to tear a piece of paper out of it or something. I just laid it on the kitchen table, and I got up one morning, and I wasn't in a real good mood, and I come in there, and I had my coffee. Well, I spilt my coffee on the notebook, and so I just slapped it. It hit the wall and landed on the table. It landed with that page open, and I just looked at it. I'm sitting there and drinking my coffee, and I grabbed a pen and wrote 6 verses to it, like I'd never stopped.
Really?
And that was the weirdest thing because I had completely forgotten of even writing it down. But it all came to me, and so I actually wrote that song, which I do now have copyrighted. But I put it I did a little album back, and I finished it in 2000. Did have one of those Fostex cassette tape machines that'll record 4 tracks.
Yeah.
And I did an entire album, and I made every sound on the album.
Really?
And I won't ever do that again. I'll get some help. But I mean, it's pretty rough, but it come out okay. But that's one of the songs on it.
Cool.
And but as far as when I wrote my first song, that may have been one of the first ones. I don't know.
That came all the way together.
But I've had moments where some things in life would prompt me to write a little poem, and I could put it to music. And it's like. There's one comes to mind, a gal her name was Sandy, and I said, Sandy was a redhead gal known throughout the South. She killed a man, graveyard dead, using nothing but her mouth. Used nothing but her mouth, dear boys, used nothing but her mouth. Now, I'm not going to give you the last name of that because it might still be kind of tender right there, you know. But there's things that have happened in my life where I've written a funny song about it, and it become immortal almost, you know. And years later, people come to me and tell me something like, "Well, I forgot about that." But, you know, I wrote a poem about an old boy from Kentucky, one about girls from Kentucky, and it's not nice. It doesn't have an ugly word in it, but it's not a nice poem.
Yeah, you can say ugly stuff without saying.
Sure enough, yeah. So I got to be careful with what I write sometimes. It's
Now, this one that we're about to play is a little bit similar to the one you were talking about with the flowers but it's kind of a pure story song. It came out of it's a story that you wrote about it's I picked some mountain flowers.
Oh, pick some brothers buried on the mountain.
Brothers buried on the mountain.
That was thinking about the Civil War. Like, what if you know, a mama sent her boy out to get her other boy to come home because daddy died or whatever, you know, and on the way, mama died, you know, and brother found me and took a bullet, you know. I mean, it's just, your imagination can run wild, but especially when you think about how rough it was back then, even if you're just thinking about how rough it could have been in some circumstances. Of course, you always hear the story of folks that, you know, no matter how rough a time you've had, you hear about somebody that's got it a whole lot rougher, you know, and you feel for those people sometimes. I mean, that's where that song kind of come out of. But
that's a sweet little song. I love it so much.
Well, cool.
Out of yours, it's my number one.
Wow, I got a number one.
I picked some mountain flowers for my brother and told him goodbye today. They buried him way up on the mountain, right beside our dear old mother's grave. Brother ran away for the war did call. He found me just in time to take his fall. He stopped the bullet that I couldn't see. Such true love did brother have for me. I picked some mountain flowers for my brother and told him goodbye today. They buried him way up on the mountain, right beside our dear old mother's grave. My tears have fallen double on this day, for now I see that mama went away. Little brother left to tell me before I die that they'd buried her upon that mountainside. I picked some mountain flowers for my brother and told him goodbye today. They buried him way up on the mountain, right beside our dear old mother's grave. Three long years me and brother have been gone. I know mother prayed that we come home. Today her prayers were answered by and by. Little brother laid to rest right by her side. I picked some mountain flowers for my brother and told him goodbye today. They buried him way up on the mountain, right beside our dear old mother's grave. Silent tears fall as I leave the mountain. No home or family, now I'm all alone. They're buried way up on the mountain, just waiting for the day that I'll come home. I picked some mountain flowers for my brother and told him goodbye today. They buried him way up on the mountain, right beside our dear old mother's grave. Right beside our dear old mother's grave.
That's good.
Cool. Yeah, boy, I like to messed up because I wasn't sure if that was the last verse or
I
not.
saw you looking at the
I hope
words.
it didn't. I hope it didn't come across
Well,
like that.
even if it did, if somebody made it that far in the song, they're gonna listen to the rest.
Yeah, I'm liking that tune, Anthony. I like you. I like the way we're singing it.
Yeah, it sounds.
It
good.
seemed like outstanding harmony.
It is.
I mean,
I'm not to pat yourself on the back.
well, I feel good about the harmony.
I
Well,
do too.
you know, if not anything else.
Well, you know, when the harmony singer is singing good, it's something because of the lead singer too. Not to
Oh,
pat
yeah.
myself on the back,
Right, yeah.
Because the lead singer's got to hold notes, and the harmony singer's got to
But
hold.
here's the
notes.
thing: whenever we sing the harmony, we've got that buzz going.
Yeah,
And,
you can
you
hear
know,
the buzz.
you can hear
I
that
was telling
buzz
Holly
really
about the
good.
buzz.
Yeah. Cool.
I don't think we need to do it again, even though I don't know. We may not. It may not be magical the next time. I thought that was perfect.
That's pretty good.